Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jason Hardwick. My pronouns are he, him, and welcome to today's webinar. This is very exciting. Today, I am going to be talking about how to elevate your online content in terms of mostly specifically your Zoom calls. So thank you so much for joining me today. So now normally when you share your screen, this is the screen that is going to pop up. There's going to be a whole bunch of options, and normally you can share your desktop, and that's all fine and dandy. But what I would recommend is sharing an individual window that you have open on your screen. And that's all down here. You can see these are all of the windows that I currently have open. So I'm going to go ahead and open this Keynote presentation. And now I can have as much as I want open in the background, like all of my notes, all of my research, and all that everyone else will see is just this sample slide deck here. Now, again, this is just a quick sample slide deck that I put together. We're not going to learn anything from this slide deck. As you can see, there's a bunch of animations here. And if you're like me, you really enjoy including animation. And I find it really just helps to sort of up the entertainment value, because while we're still trying to educate, it's fun to have some entertainment in there. And I'm going to be using this exact same slideshow in the next portion that I'm going to talk about. So I just wanted to take everyone through and show that there's a whole bunch of animations and there's a bunch of information here. And then a fun little animation that I did, which will be important later, I promise. Why is it great to share these individual windows? Well, like I said, you can have all of your notes open on the other side, like I'm reading right now, but you can't see it. And then you also don't have to worry about making sure your desktop is all clear. And it just really helps to sort of have everything organized on your own personal space. Now, the next option that I'm going to talk about in terms of sharing screens is this advanced option in here. So again, when you go to share your screen, this window is going to pop up, and these are all the basic controls. And there's also something called advanced. So if you click there, this is a new beta program, and it's the Slides as Virtual Background, which I will demonstrate right now. So a window is going to pop up, and you're going to select which slideshow you would like to present. And I'm going to use the exact same one. And here we are. And I like this because now I'm in the slideshow. And I like this because it's like teaching in an actual classroom. I feel that I can look into the camera, I can connect, and it's, like you would be presenting an actual slide in the classroom if we were able to have an actual classroom. You might notice that for you might be a little small in the window, but you do have the option to resize yourself, to move yourself around. So a few of the drawbacks are, as you can tell, it's not really the best because of my background, seeing as, sometimes my hands fade in and out. But again, this exact same slideshow that we saw before is going to be right here. However, you are going to notice that there are no animations. And to me, this makes me very sad because I spend a lot of time on my animations. But again, it is the exact same slideshow. But if we get to a slide like this, you'll notice that you can sort of see something behind me, and we don't know what that is because I am in the way. Again, here, I am now in the way of a picture. But like I said before, you can move yourself. So you can adjust to where you need to be. And then you can focus on, say, also I should mention, it's mirrored. So I still haven't figured out the exact way to gesture because I always go to the wrong side. So if I wanted to gesture to this picture, to me, it's on the right hand of my screen, but I need to be gesturing to my left in the real world. So it's a little confusing at times, but with a little practice, I really enjoy this. Another reason I like this is as you're going through talking about your presentation, you can hit the record button and it will record it for you. So it will record you in the slideshow, it will record the video and the audio. So that way, if you are teaching a synchronous class, you have the ability to then reuse it as an asynchronous class. And that way it sort of is kind of like killing two birds with one stone. You get to record your lecture and you get to present the lecture and you get to have the lecture for posterity for as long as you want. The last thing that I am going to talk about is is the last way that I would recommend sharing a screen, and that is with your iPhone or iPad via AirPlay or via a cable. Now, I have my iPad here, and my iPad is very, very, very old, but it still manages to work. So I don't need to use a cable. And I would recommend not using a cable, because that way, if you are sharing on your iPad, you can have it plugged in if you need to charge it. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my iPad. Now, a screen will pop up on your Zoom with instructions on how to do it, and it's very, very simple. You're just going to tap the screen mirroring button on your phone or iPad, and then select which device. So I've selected my computer, and voila, here we are. We are now viewing my iPad. And now you can share whatever you want. Right now we're in my photos. So this is a beautiful picture of a sunset that I took. And this is also a screen cap of the CTL's website. And whatever I am doing on my iPad mirrors on the screen. So I can go in, and if this was, let's say, a PDF, or if I really wanted to focus on what's going on here, I'm drawing on my iPad and it's showing up right on the screen. The reason that this is great is if you have some research or some documents or even a slide deck that is on your phone or your iPad, you don't have to spend time transferring it over to your computer, because it is all here on your iPad for you. So you can just share it from there. And the last thing that I really enjoy about this is if you have something in your residence that, for example, let's pretend this was a really great specimen of not an IKEA houseplant. If this is something that you wanted to demonstrate to your whole class, you could hold it up to your screen's computer, but let's say it's a bit heavy or it's really bulky. You can also zoom into exactly what you want and focus on what is going on. And if this is something that is very specific, you can also take a picture of exactly what we're talking about now, and then you can send that off to your students, put it into your e-class, almost anything. So that is sharing with your iPad. One quick thing I will say is if you're sharing with your phone or your iPad, make sure, yes, you do have Do Not Disturb turned on, because you don't want any unwanted texts popping up, because that could be distracting for everyone watching. Now, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to pop into that Google form that I was talking about. The Google form that I have shared is a great way to prevent lurking in your classroom and sort of get everyone involved. I personally am afraid to ask questions when it comes to Zoom, because I don't want people to see my questions, because I get a bit nervous. Whereas in this Google form, it is completely anonymous. I have set it up so I have no idea who is asking which question. So here we are in the Google form. This is the form that you all saw, and there are the options in here. We can collect email addresses if we wanted to, if you wanted to know who was there. But as it stands right now, it is completely anonymous. I have no idea who asked what question. The only way I would know is if they signed their name to the question. And another great thing is, while there are responses, if I click on this little button here, it opens it up in a spreadsheet. And so all of the questions will be organized absolutely right here. And then you can take these questions and you can make them into a Q&A form, or you can use some of these questions on an assessment if you would like, because they all come from the students or from whoever's watching the presentation. That's pretty much all I have to say about upping your content in terms of your Zoom shares. Thank you so much for coming today.